Jai Jagat children. Today I'll be teaching you the next chapter from your book, that is the spreadsheet, formulae, functions and chart. This is the third chapter of your book, and in this chapter we're basically going to study the different types of electronic worksheets that are used to perform numerical calculations, analyze the data, all right, on a day-to-day basis. There are a lot of features that this software gives you. You can store numbers, you can make charts, you can do data analysis, all right, you can count, you can find out the sum of numbers, the largest number, smallest number, just by the use of formula. Okay, now in this chapter children, two softwares have been used. One is LibreOffice and one is MS Office. So since we are more acquainted with using MS Excel, so we would be taking MS Excel examples in the due course. LibreOffice won't be asked in your exams because you don't have it installed on your computers. So in this particular chapter, basically we have first introduced what exactly is a spreadsheet. As you all can see, it's a collection of rows and columns. All right, we have horizontal rows and vertical columns. Columns are named as ABC, rows are named as 1, 2, 3, and the intersection of a row and column forms a cell. As you can see, the cell is selected over here. This is a C8 cell. C8 is the address of this cell. It's written here in the address box, name box also. And C represents the column and 8 represents the row. Now the cell that is selected gets a dark boundary around it, which is known as a cell pointer. And the cell pointer points, whichever cell the cell pointer points towards to, is that particular cell is known as the active cell. So whatever you type in that cell, that data gets written in that cell only and nowhere else. Okay, so if you have to go and select the cell, just click on the cell, double click to enter inside the cell, backspace, and then enter again, because when you press enter you move out of the cell too. So to remain inside the cell, either you double click on it or you press the F2 key to lock the contents of the cell. So that was about a cell, children. Now when I talk about a range simply means a group of cells that forms a rectangular area. For instance, the range of item names that you're seeing here starts from B3 to B9. If I have to exclude the heading, then the range would be B4 to B9. That is the range of cells in a worksheet for you. If I have to select item name as well as the price per unit, I can use the shift and the arrow key to move, and the down arrow again. So now the cell range that is selected is from B3 to C9. So my cell range is going to be B3 colon C9. That's what the cell range is. Cell ranges can be both continuous and discontinuous. Like if if you look at this cell range, item name and price per unit, these two cell ranges are physically adjacent to each other, so it is a continuous cell range. But if I have to select item name and discount, then I'll select item name, I'll press the control key and leave the control key there, and then I select the discount. Okay, so let's do it again for you. Discount, and then the item name. So if we select two cells like this, then that makes a discontinuous range of cells. Okay, so that is a discontinuous range of cells for you. Right, so we have the item names and the discount. Alright, please remember that while selecting the item name, you have to let go of the control key. Otherwise, you'll reach the end of the worksheet. So that's about selecting continuous and discontinuous ranges in a worksheet. You can store three types of data in a worksheet. You can store, as you can see, text. You can store numbers. Text by default is left aligned, number is right aligned, and there is a third type of entity that you can store in a cell, which is known as a formula. Okay, for instance, if I have to calculate the sum of these two numbers here, 550 plus 15, then I am just going to write is equal to 550 plus 15 if I have to calculate the sum of these two constants. But if I have to calculate the sum of these two cells, then I'm going to refer to these two cells So I will be writing is equal to C4 plus D4, enter. So that gives me the sum of these two numbers, and just by clicking on the fill handle and dragging it down, I will get the sum in all of my cells. So this process of being able to access a cell inside a formula is known as cell referencing. Now here I am not calculating the sum of these two numbers, I need to calculate the net discount. The only reason I told you how to calculate is so that how to use a form to calculate the sum of these two numbers is to be able to understand how a formula is written. Alright, so but if I have to calculate the net discount, obviously I won't be calculating the sum. Then what will I write? I will write is equal to price per unit, as you can see is coming in cell C4, so is equal to C4 multiplied by the discount percent. So we can always use a bracket, is equal to C4 multiplied by the discount percent, which is in the cell D4, as you can see here, D4, you close the bracket, upon 100, 100, enter. So that, children, for you is the discount percent, net discount that you get on this amount. So what would be the amount based on the calculation of at 15%? And if you drag this formula to the other cells, for this cell it will again be at 15%, for 600 it will be at 10%, 650 10%, 200 5%, and 50 there will be no discount. So we should get a zero net discount on 50. Correct. So children, that's how the discount has been calculated. As you can see that corresponding to the cell, the formula is changing. This is called relative referencing. When with respect to this certain value written in a cell, you have written a formula, and when you're copying the formula, the values are changing with respect to the cell, or the row changing, then such type of referencing is known as relative referencing. And now for calculating net price, again is equal to net price, as we all know, is price per unit minus net discount. So price per unit again is C4 and net discount is in E4, net discount, so minus E4, and you press and enter. So that is the amount that the customer has to pay. Out of 550 he has to pay this much amount, and when you drag it down, it will be calculated for the other cells also. Now if you want to calculate what is the total amount that the customer has to pay for all of these items, then you just give a heading total here, okay, and come here on the net price cell. There are two ways to do it. Either you can use a function, which I'll be teaching later, or you can simply use an Autosum function. If you look over here, this is an Autosum function. Okay, so just click on the Autosum function and just select. It is going to ask you from which range to which range. So obviously my first cell, it's only selecting the F10 cell right now. Let's see which is the complete range. If you want to see this formula, you just look at the formula bar right here. It's giving is equal to sum F4 to F10, which is correct. I want the sum of this range only, and if I want to change, I can change it here, and then you just press an enter key, and that's the total amount that the customer has to pay. So I'll be winding up here for now. I think you've understood how to use a formula, and in my next session with you, I'll be explaining you different types of references and charts. Alright, thank you, and Jai Jagat.